You're listening to the Positivity Hour podcast, hosted by Darshaun Smith. Strap in and buckle up, and let's get straight into it. All right, y'all know the vibe. This week on the Positivity Hour, we have a guest, okay? Her name is Annmarie Chereso. I think I'm pronouncing it right. If not, she says her name again in the episode, and I'll try and say it correctly next time. But Annmarie is a relationship coach. She works with, couples, young, old, and she came on the podcast to talk about fostering good relationships, whether it's a friendship, fixing a marriage, or something else in between or outside of that, and just overall being a great human being. So on this episode, what you can expect is that. And she leaves us with some great insights and multiple action steps that you can take and apply to your own life today. So, enough talking for me. Let's get to past Darshaun, and I'll see you for the outro. Woo! Welcome back, my party people. This is episode 198 of the Positivity Hour podcast. And today, we got a guest. I told you we'd be having a guest here soon. And here we are to deliver that. So, I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves. And we'll just kind of go from there. So take it away.
My name is Annmarie Chereso. I'm a conscious relationship coach, and I help people transform conflict into connection using one simple question.
All right. Hey, and that's the question we're going to be asking you here soon. But before we get into that, I just have some questions I want to ask you just to get to know you a little bit better. So let me pull out my notes here and just hop into it. So how I like to structure my interviews, it's three main points. It's how I do all my content, and just it's a great way to get to know a person and really just see what they offer, see what they do, and see who they are. And those are the questions. Who are you? What do you do, and what do you do for others? So we'll just start there. For those who don't know you, what do you do, and how would you describe yourself as well as what you do for those around you?
So who am I? That's such a good question, because I really don't like to use the labels like I'm a coach, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. I really like to talk about who I am as a human. So, I'm just like a middle-aged woman, like living my life here in Chicago. I live in the Midwest. I'm married for a second time. I have a blended family of 9, so I'm also a mother. And I'm a relationship person. I think relationships are super important to me, and I have been navigating the last 30 years of my life trying to figure out how to create the best relationships I possibly can with the people who are most important to me.
Yeah, no, that's very important in this day and age that we live in. And that actually gets into my next question, speaking about the experiences or moments that, shaped you into that person. So you said you've been doing this for, 20, 30 years. Like what was the moment that sparked it all for you that made you want to even go down this path?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know that there was a moment necessarily. I think it's sort of like a snowball, like a series of moments from way back when I could remember being a kid in my family system. And, we all have family systems, and our family systems are what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember as a kid, like, I don't really like the way it feels when our families in disconnection or conflict, or, I didn't like the way all that felt. And I was a real curious kid. And I remember from a very early age, like reading books about personal growth and spirituality and mental health and all that, really young, 10, 11, 12 years old. And then, as life started to happen, and I growed myself up, and I got into the world, and then I got married, and then that was messy, and then I got divorced, and I was like, wait, how are people doing this thing called relationship? How are they doing it? And I could also see, like, if I can't figure out how to do relationship with the people that I love the most, what is the world going to look like? Like, if we can't do relationship in our own homes, it's no wonder we're so messed up in the world.
Yeah.
I started to put my attention on, okay, I got to figure this out here, home base, so that we can figure out how to do relationships in our communities and, in the world.
Wow. That was yeah. Wow. That no, that's very interesting that you say that, because I have a similar outlook on things, you know what I'm saying? I come from an interesting family structure as well. My parents never married, and I lived with my mom and such, and that obviously, made me who I am today, objectively speaking. Luckily, I think I turned out all right, you know what I'm saying? I
I would agree with
graduated graduated high school, graduated college, I'm trying to do big things and help people, be their best version of themselves. So
that.
that kind of leads me into the next thing. The next question rather for you. Like, tell us like what you actually do. Like, what's your bread and butter? What's your business? Like, how do you help people on the daily basis?
So I'm a relationship coach, and the work I do has really changed shape and forms over the years in a lot of different ways. So I obviously do some one-on-one, work directly with clients. And then I started to realize like I'm saying a lot of the same thing over and over, and people are saying a lot of the same things over and over to me. And I think there's a better, more optimized way of doing this. And so I started creating group experiences and
Mm,
online coaching programs and workshops because I really feel like one, everyone should have access to tools to help improve themselves and their relationships. Everyone should have access, and not everyone has access. Number one, because people can't afford it. Number two, because people don't have time. And number three, if there's therapists and coaches and support people, there's millions and billions of people in the world, so the math doesn't work. Also, when I started to shift my business model, because I can work 8 hours a day and serve 8 clients a day and do that 7 days a week, that burns me out. And I realized that people learn best in community with each other. We see each other in each other. So I started creating more community opportunities, and oh, that's a little rhyme in there. And and people started to grow more. So then I created an online program so that people can get the basic tools that I teach everyone on their own time, and then join my group programs so that we can work together and work stuff out in real time together. So that's where I'm at.
yeah, yeah, no, that's very interesting. So for timeline's sake, was when did you make that big transition from a more individual model to the group model? Was it like before the pandemic happened, or was it like 2019, 2020, or
Yeah,
was it even more recent than that?
no, it's a little more recent. I mean, I was doing group stuff before the pandemic, but that wasn't the focus. Like group things were happening, and then the one-on-one was more focused. And then, of course, the pandemic shifted life for everyone and all of us. And then, it took time over the years to really develop the programming and create all the materials. So I would say more recently, I've started promoting the online stuff and the workshops and stuff. So, it's been a progression over the past five years.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. That actually leads me into my next question. So, like, what does a day in your life currently look like? Like, how do you prepare for these meetings? Like, what exactly like gets you out of bed to speak in front of these people and help them actually level up to that next level?
Um, it starts with my own personal practices. So I got to get me straight every
Mm,
day, and my head straight and my heart straight before I can be available to others. So I think that's a really important thing, is getting whatever your spiritual practices are, whatever your religious beliefs are, whatever you need to do to connect to what you might call God or source or positivity or something good that connects you to the good in you. You got to start there. Otherwise, you're giving from an empty cup, an empty vessel. So I start with my morning practices, my journaling, my meditation, taking care of my mind, taking care of my body, taking care of my heart. That's first. So that I make sure I'm moving into my day from the most whole place I can possibly access. And then it's just, getting in the grind, doing my writing, doing my speaking, just depends on what my days call for, if I'm working with clients, but just rolling into my day and what's being asked of me in that moment. I'm trying to be as present as possible.
Yeah. So you speak about the grind and wanting to be present. What's the biggest lesson your work has taught you so far in your career?
The presence is the key to transformation.
What do you mean by that? Do you mean like someone physically being there, like that presence, or something else?
No. What I mean when I'm talking about presence is what I mean is like being deeply here now with all three centers of intelligence, your mind, your body, your heart. So I teach about three centers of intelligence, the IQ, the BQ, and the EQ. And most of us are not present because most of us are hijacked by what's going on, in the body, in the mind, in the world. And so we're not actually completely attuned to our own beingness. So yeah, that's the answer to that
Yeah,
question.
I'll stop you in your line, so keep going. But my next question is like, that all sounds great and all, but as you said yourself, you're human. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure that you're good yourself, otherwise you can't help other people be their best selves. So, how do you personally stay motivated when things get hard and, maybe you have to go off script or something like that?
How do I stay motivated? This is a good time to ask me that because I'm sort of feeling I'm struggling with my motivation and inspiration right now.
And I think that's very important that people hear you say that because we're human. We have our high moments, we have our low moments. And I always encourage people just to acknowledge it exists. It doesn't mean
Exactly.
you're giving up, doesn't mean you're throwing in the towel. You're just being human.
Okay, so Darshaun, this is the very first thing you said, which is acknowledge it. So that's what I teach is called awareness. So presence is awareness. So if I'm aware that I'm struggling, then I actually have agency to do something about it.
Mm.
But if we don't have awareness, if we go unconscious around what's happening, we lack agency. So acknowledging and being aware is the entryway, is to the portal to being more empowered in your life.
Yeah, no, empowerment is everything, and especially the agency. I swear, on a daily basis, I remind people of that. It may not seem like it, but you always have a choice. You may not like the repercussions that come with it,
It's true.
but very technically speaking, you can choose not to do this or go there or what have you. But
And it's not easy. It's not always easy to make the choices that you're talking about because often this is what happens. People don't want to deal with the repercussions of the choices they know they need to make. So then they don't make them. And then they fall into what I call victim consciousness, like at the effect, like, I have no choice. I have no choice. I have no power. And what you're saying is so true. You do have choice. You just may not like the choices you have.
those are two different things, and it's a beautiful thing. Next question here for you. Like, what's one project or case study or couple or group session that you've encountered that, you really saw success in that made you be like, wow, I'm really having impact out here?
Huh. I was working with um, a client recently this past summer who I used to work a lot with the younger generation, so 20 somethings, new college students and whatnot. It was a place I was real passionate about for a long time, and I still am. Um, and he participated in one of my programs about 5 or 6 years ago, and he was a high school student at the time. And um, that was it. He was in one of my programs, and he was there one day, gone the next, and went off to college. And then he told me recently, he came back 5 years later, and we worked together for a period of time this past summer. And he said that he's been following my content and reading my emails this whole time, all along. Even though that my audience shifted, he wasn't necessarily my audience anymore. But he said he kept reading them, and they were really inspiring to him. And it was a real win-win for me because the work made impact on him 5 years ago, and then he kept staying along for the ride. And then 5 years later, he reached out for more support. So that was a real win-win. Like it was just a moment of an aha for me, because often, you probably know this,
Mm-hmm.
you're speaking to a lot of people, you don't know who's listening, and you don't know who's learning, and you don't know who's absorbing and taking in the information and the content, or if it's impacting anyone at all.
Yeah.
So that was like a seed I planted a lot of years ago, and it was fun to see it bloom.
Yeah. Speaking about that, let's just take a side note real quick. Like, what is your social media like strategy look like? Are you on Instagram? Are you on X? Do you do like email lists? Like, how do you get the words out to the people?
Email is my first. I don't do much Instagram, but I mean, I'm there, but I don't do a lot. I'm not consistent. I would say email is my.
All right. And speaking of email, like, is that just due to like the age range you're associating with, or is it just the infrastructure around email marketing today in this 21st century?
That's a good question. I think it's your email subscribers are your warmest leads, and people who have already said yes. Like, yes, I'm interested in what you're saying and how you're saying it, and I want more from you. And I feel like it's a real privilege when someone signs up on my email list. And so I hold that as a really sacred relationship. And I want to prioritize the people who've raised their hands and said, yes, please give me more. And I just don't have enough energy to be everywhere all the time. So I really try and honor my energy. So some people have a lot more energy and can do all the things, and I'm just not that person. So when I have more energy, I show up more in other places on social media, like Instagram, Facebook, wherever all the handles are. But often, if I'm serving my clients, if I'm serving myself, then my family, then my clients, and then my subscribers, there's not a lot of room left for me for others yet, but I'm sure I'll get there.
Yeah, the reason why I ask that is, there are a lot of people that want to do things in this modern world, and it often involves some sort of digital aspect, and it's just interesting, because on my podcast, we talk about obviously the positivity side of it, but we also talk about the business side of it. Like, it's one thing to have a message, have something, that you think is worth something, but it's another thing to deliver it. And I think that was just a very good insight into a way to do it. Email marketing is huge. It has been huge for the last, 20, 30 years. And I still think there's an incredible amount of value left in it, because like you just said, those are some of your warmest leads. Those are the people who had to opt into it. Those are the people that actually are super ultra invested, objectively speaking, into what you have going on. And funny enough, you kind of answered my next question. Now that we're moving on to the what you do for, or what you can do for others, I was going to ask you, what advice would you give to someone trying to follow in a similar path? And I think one of the most interesting things you've said thus far is essentially, don't overload yourself. Know what you can do, know what you're capable of, and get really good at it.
Yeah, I think it's important, because I can say this because I did it the other way. I put all my attention on social media for a long, long time. And that's not my zone of genius. Some people are genius at it, and they should keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't be my zone of genius. I have to work a little bit harder at it. It doesn't come naturally. I find it a little annoying, all the things. So, if I'm going to spend all my energy on something that's really hard for me, then I'm draining my energy for the things that actually come more easily to me. So start where it's easy first, and then grow from there.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. And that's something that I think every single one of the people that view my podcast can take away from this. Nothing wrong with going for the low-hanging fruit. You know what I'm saying? You just got to get started. And it's something I've done many a podcast episode about. And a lot of people, just need to be reminded of on a consistent basis, that
Yeah.
it's okay. You don't need to see every path forward. You just need to start stepping and have some faith.
Yes. I love that.
All right, so moving into the next question here. We don't have too much more, we've already been on here for 20 minutes, so I want to respect your time. I know you're a busy person. What's one thing you think people misunderstand about success and your growth in your field and industry?
It's one thing I think people misunderstand about success and growth. Well, I think we misunderstand success. So we could start there.
Let's start there.
I used to run a program called Redefining Success because I think in this social media, digital world, we have a specific way that we relate to this idea of success and what it looks like. And that is just not the same thing for everyone. So first you got to get underneath, like, what does success really mean to me? Because it's not going to be the same. Like, success for me and success for Oprah is not the same thing. Like, we gotta, like, so what is it? And wrap your head around what success means, and really start there. If you start there, then your measurement for that will be you'll have more clarity around what your measurement for that is.
Yeah, no, I think that is amazing. You know what I'm saying? That you understand that. Like, obviously, you've experienced more life than me, but like, this is something that even I, to this day, try to ingrain into people, especially on Instagram, because people just post their highlight reels, so you see other people who are in the industry and field of helping people become their best selves, whether they're a personal coach or trainer or just some motivational person who posts some quotes here and there. I call it the motivational porn area of the thing, because it's really just spewing words and content out there to make people feel like they're going to do better or they can be something. But I think that understanding that, as you said, and as I agree with, that success does vary. Like, you maybe don't want the big house and the nice fancy car. You just want something simple, 3 kids, 2 dogs, call it a day. And that's a beautiful thing, if that's what you want. But it has to be what you want at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it also has to be like, why do you want what you want? I think that getting underneath the why
is very important.
Is so important, because if you're just in it because you want to make a whole bunch of money, then you're going to get lost along the way so much, because you're going to keep following the money. But you have to connect to, like, why are you doing the thing you're doing? If you stay connected to that core intention, then it becomes really easy to create success, because you're just aligned with the core intention of the impact you want to make.
Well stated. What's your why?
I want to help awaken people, because I really want to change the world that we live in. I mean, it sounds like a big why, but it comes back to what I said at the top of our conversation. If we can create more peace in our homes and our relationships, we're going to be able to apply those skills to the outside world and create more peace in the world. And the 100% of the problems we're having out in the world are because we do not know how to be in relationship with one another. And if those things can be solved, if we can learn to be at peace and navigate conflict, navigate differences, be respectful to one another, have appreciation, have gratitude, have unconditional love, all of those things, create healthy boundaries. If we can do all that in our homes, then guess what's going to happen out in the world? It's going to be much easier.
It's going to be much better. Maybe we will stop having these arguments and disagreements we have that are, just not worth it. Objectively speaking, we get lost in the sauce on a daily basis about minute details that are irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, when in reality we have bigger problems that we need to tackle as a people, a country, a nation, whatever you want to say. So yeah, I just got like two more main questions for you. So number one, how can people connect with your work, and where can they learn from you from?
A good place to start is at my website. It's my name, AnnmarieChereso.me. I'm sure you'll put that in your show notes.
Yep, everything will be in the description below.
Yeah. So that's the place to connect with me. And then from there, you can find all the links to all the things. I have a quiz on there people can take for free. It helps you understand your conflict type. And I have a couple other free resources on my website, and you can get to Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and all the places from there as well.
Yep. Like I said, I'll be sure to link all that in the description below. So look alive for that. And the last thing I want to just ask you before I let you have a moment to take the floor and say what you want to say, when it's all said and done, what kind of impact do you want to leave behind on the people you touched?
I just want, it's a good question. The impact, I want the impact to be that people have more access to their heart and to unconditional love.
It's a beautiful thing. Annmarie, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
All right.
you so much.
I do want to give you the floor as well. If you have anything you want to say, anything you want to promote, this is your time to do it. Talk to the people.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I'm just happy to be here. I love what you're doing. I think it's great. I have so much, gratitude and respect for the energy you're putting out into the world. And I'm just really happy and delighted to be here. So thank you. I think I already said everything I need to say. So if people want to learn more, they can go to my website and learn more and take the quiz and get all the free goodies. And again, I just want to appreciate you for having me on and being the being that you are in the world and doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it. It means a lot. And hopefully we can do this again sometime. Thanks for your time. And back to the future, Darshaun. Woo! All right, and just like that, the podcast is over. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some nice wisdom from this. Ultimately speaking, at the end of the day, everyone's unique perspective on life and relationships, is their own. But Annmarie and I, obviously, we agree upon a lot of things, and I think it can ultimately be summed down to just treat people how you want to be treated. Be honest, be a human, and most importantly, above all else, want to see the change. Either like me, be the change you want to see in the world, or just work hard at keeping your mind open or opening your mind to see the change, because fostering good relationships is the only way we're going to fix our own relationships in our daily lives, but also the world around us. We're living in times that are pretty not great, with the federal government being shut down and political tensions and everything at an all-time high, and wars here and this argument and disagreement there. We need each other, and having and fostering great relationships is a great way to mend these bonds that have been broken. So I could say more, but I think Annmarie and I said it all in that episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, unsubscribe, hate, comment, follow, unfollow, share, or report. I'm your host, Darshaun Smith. It's been real. Future Darshaun out, and I'll see you next week for episode 199. We almost at 200, baby. Let's go. Faded Black. Woo!
I'm in my G'd up zone. I'm about to get it in, kick your feet up, home. Days turn to weeks when you're always on the grind all night. I got my re-up back. I'm about to get it in, I'll be right back.
Nate, high lows to those who don't know the name. And G'd up, yup, that's the only thing I claim.